Ladies and gentlemen, over 70% of the world's poor live in rural areas of the Third World, with a substantial proportion living in water-stressed areas. We know that the lack of safe drinking water exacts a high economic cost, particularly for the poorest, who are mostly women. In many regions of the world, unfortunately, poverty has a woman's face. The reality is that half of the world populations, mainly women, are still being deprived of their basic human rights, including their right to safe drinking water and to basic sanitation. In the context of poverty, the issue of water is crucial because the very survival of women and their households depends on access and control of natural resources, and of course, especially water. And despite the role, the central role, played by women in water resources management, women continue to be ignored in policies, in projects, and institutions dealing with water resources management and water governance do not take into account gender differentiated responsibilities and needs related to water. All too often, decisions about the design and location of water facilities are made without the involvement of female users, who have most at stake in this regard. Simply said, women often have no voice and no choice in the decisions of the kind of services they need or are receiving. We know that when women have access and control over economic assets, they gain leverage in household and community decision-making processes. There is also evidence that the meaningful involvement of women in water resources development and management can help, in fact, do help to make projects more sustainable and show that infrastructure development yield the maximum social and economic returns to advance progress on MDGs. As you know, women often have the primary responsibility for the management of household water supply, which also means the burden of traveling long distances to obtain water. This impacts their health, their education, employment, income, and of course empowerment. In most countries, girls are also given the task of collecting water. They carry 15 to 20 liters of water from the water point to home a day. These girls do not have the time to go to school. It is also worth mentioning that water scarcity is increasingly becoming a trigger for conflicts. The growing number of conflicts and wars leads to increasing number of displaced people and refugees, the majority of which, of course, are women and children. The loss of land and water resources causes even more insecurity among refugees and puts an extra burden on women. Securing access to land and safe water are major challenges for the resettlement of women refugees and their families. In water-scarce areas, actions can be taken by improving on-farm water management, improving the performance of irrigation system services, using non-conventional waters such as wastewater, promoting water harvesting, and promoting national policies on water allocation to agriculture. The economic empowerment of the majority of women through water-based farming is only feasible if a whole range of conditions are met. A major challenge today is to develop and widely disseminate affordable, small-scale land and water management technologies, such as treadle pumps, bucket drips, and water harvesting techniques. However, rainwater is rarely integrated into water management strategies, which usually focus exclusively on surface water and groundwater. Countries need to integrate rainwater fully into their strategies to cope with water scarcity. Addressing water scarcity also calls for actions at global and international levels, leading to increased collaboration between nations on shared management of water resources. In fact, the international community should collaborate at all levels and help secure women's access to water and land in order to effectively avert abject poverty and food crises in the future.